Hello everyone, welcome back. It's our 63rd session, 6th of November 2021. Yay. Let's get started. This is what I heard. At one time, the Buddha was staying in the Jeta Grove near the city of Savatthi. With him there was a community of 1,250 venerable monks and devoted disciples. One day before dawn, the Buddha clothed himself and along with his disciple took up his bowl and entered the city to beg for food door to door, as was his custom. After he had returned and eaten, he put away his bowls and cloak, bathed his feet, and then sat with his legs crossed and body upright upon the seat arranged for him. He began mindfully fixing his attention in front of himself while many monks approached the Buddha, and showing great reverence, seated themselves around himself. After a time, a most venerable monk named Subhati, who was sitting in the congregation, rose from his seat. He uncovered his right shoulder, placed his right knee on the ground, and as he joined his palm together, he respectfully bowed and then addressed the Buddha. Most honored one, it is truly majestic how much knowledge and wisdom your monks and disciples has been given through your most inspired teachings. It is remarkable that you look after our welfare so selfishly and so completely. Most honored one, I have a question to ask you. If sons and daughters of good families want to develop the highest, most fulfilled, and awakened mind, if they wish to attain the highest perfect wisdom, what should they do to help quiet their drifting minds and help subdue their craving thoughts? The Buddha then replied, "So it is as you say, Subhati. Monks and disciples has been favored with the highest favor by the Buddha. The monks and disciples has been instructed with the highest instruction by the Buddha. The Buddha is constantly mindful of the welfare of his followers. Listen carefully with your full attention, and I will speak to your question. If son and daughter of good families want to develop the highest, most fulfilled and awakened mind, if they wish to attain the highest perfect wisdom and quit their drifting minds while subduing their craving thoughts, then they should follow what I am about to say to you. Those who follow that I am about to say here will be able to subdue their discriminative thoughts and craving desires. It is possible to attain perfect tranquility and clarity of mind by absorbing and dwelling on the teaching I am about to give." Then the Buddha addressed the assembly. All living beings, whether born from eggs, from womb, from moisture, or spontaneously, whether they have form or do not have form, whether they are aware and unaware, whether they are not aware or not aware, all living beings will eventually be led by me to the final nirvana, the final ending of the cycle of birth and death. And when this unfathomable, infinite number of living beings have been liberated, in truth, not even a single being has actually been liberated. Why Subhuti? Because if the desired still cling to the arbitrary illusions of form or phenomena such as an ego, a personality, a self, a separate person, or a universal self existing eternally, then that person is not an authentic disciple. Furthermore, Subhati, in the practice of compassion and charity, a disciple should be detached, that is to say, he should practice compassion and charity without regards to appearance, without regards to form, without regard to sound, smell, taste, touch, or any quality of any kind. Subhati, this is how the disciple should practice compassion and charity. Why? Because practicing compassion and charity without attachment is the way to teach the highest perfect wisdom. It is the way to become a living Buddha. Subhati, do you think that you can measure all of the space in the eastern heaven? No, most honored one. One cannot possibly measure all of space in the eastern heavens. Subhati, can space in the all western, southern, and northern heavens, both above and below, be measured? No, most honored one. One cannot possibly measure all the space in the western, southern, and northern heaven. Well, Subhati, the same is true of the merit of disciple who practices compassion and charity without any detachment to appearances, without cherishing any idea of form. It is possible to measure the merits they will occur. Subhati, my disciples should let their minds absorb and dwell in the teaching I have just given. Subhati, what do you think? Can the Buddha be recognized by means of his bodily form? No, most honored one. The Buddha cannot be recognized by means of his bodily form. Why? Because when the Buddha speaks of bodily form, it is not the real form, but only an illusion. Buddha then spoke to Subhati. All that has a form is illusion and unreal. When do you see that all forms are elusive and unreal? Then you will begin to perceive your true Buddha nature. Subhati respectfully asked Buddha, Most honored one, in the future, if a person hears the teaching, even if it's only praise or sentences, is it possible for the person to have a true faith and knowledge of enlightenment awaken in their mind? Without a doubt, Subhati, even 500 years after the enlightenment of this Buddha, there will be some who are virtuous and wise, and while practicing compassion and charity, they will believe in the words and praise of this sutra and will awaken their mind purely. After they come to hear these teachings, they will be inspired with belief. This is because when some people hear these words, they will have understand intuitively that these words are the truth. But you must also remember, Subhati, that such person have long ago planted the seeds of goodness and merit that lead to this realization. They have planted the seeds of good deeds and charity, not simply because of one Buddha temple or 2 temples or 5, but before hundreds of thousands of Buddhas and temples. So when a person who hears the words and praise of this sutra is ready for it to happen, a pure faith and clarity can awaken within their minds. Subhuti, any person who awakens faith upon hearing the words of praise of this sutra will accumulate countless beings, blessing, and merit. How do I know this? Because this person must have discarded all arbitrary notions of the existence of person self, or of other person, or of a universal self. Otherwise, their mind would still grasp after such relative conceptions. Furthermore, these people must have already discarded all arbitrary notions of the non-existing of the personal self, other self, or universal self. Otherwise, their mind would still be grasping at such notions. Therefore, anyone who seeks total enlightenment should discard not only all conceptions of their own selfhood, of other selves, or of a universal self, but they should also discard all notion of the non-existence of such concepts. When Buddha explained things using such concepts and ideas, people should remember the unreality of all such concepts and ideas. They should recall that in teaching spiritual truth, the Buddha always uses these concepts and ideas in a way that a raft is used to cross the river. Once the river has been crossed over, the raft is of no more use and should be discarded. These arbitrary concepts and ideas about spiritual things needs to be explained to us as we seek to attain enlightenment. However, unlimitedly, these arbitrary concepts can be discarded. Thanks to Bhatti, isn't it even more obvious that we should also give up our conceptions of non-existing things?